Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com, and we are here today with lesson number 5 in our incredible new tutorial series where you are going to learn artificial intelligence on the Jetson Nano. What I'm going to need you to do is pour yourself a nice big mug of iced coffee. I'm going to need you to get out your Jetson Nano gear, get it booted up, and get ready to rumble. No, we're not going to rumble. Seriously, we're not going to rumble. Said that to a high school class once. It was a mistake. They were ready to rumble. No, we're not going to rumble. We are going to learn some Python today. Okay, in the first lesson, those of you who have been playing along at home, you know that we sort of built the Nano system and got it to the first boot. Then I think in lesson number 2 and lesson number 3, what we did was we became comfortable with the Linux command line and the Linux terminal, worked our way around the Linux system. I believe in lesson number 4 we learned how to SSH or putty into the Jetson Nano so that we could operate from a remote terminal. Pretty handy thing to do. And then today what we're going to do is we are going to jump in and start learning some Python. Now, I feel like that if I don't go over a couple of lessons on Python, I'm going to kind of leave some of you behind, and you're going to kind of get in that bad habit of just copying and pasting what I'm doing, or just typing in what I'm typing in without really understanding it. And so I want you to sort of understand Python. So I'm going to do a couple of lessons on this. At the same time, my goal is not for you to become a Python wizard, but just to be able to write simple programs and sort of understand some simple code in Python. I am also assuming that you probably came here from the Arduino world, and if you came here from the Arduino world, you've already written programs, and so you understand the concept of like an if statement, a for loop, a while loop, you understand arrays, you understand things like that. And what I'll be teaching you here is sort of like what is the syntax in Python to do some of the stuff that you already know how to do. So we're going to spend a couple of lessons. For you guys that are already experts, you can just sit back and enjoy the coffee and just watch the train wreck as it unfolds. I hope it's not a train wreck, but you know, watch the train wreck as it unfolds. And then you know, we will be getting to the more advanced stuff a little bit later on, but we don't want to leave anyone behind. Hey, I also want to thank you guys that are helping me out over on Patreon. If you look down in the description, there's a link to my Patreon account. And what you guys are really helping me by supporting me on Patreon is allowing me to upgrade my equipment. I hope you are enjoying this marvelous new Yeti microphone that's really improved my sound quality. There's just other equipment and gear that I need, and so as you guys are able to support me, allows me to produce a better product for you. But enough of this nonsense. Let's get in and let's start programming some Python. So we are going to switch over to a view where you can see my desktop. Now you could do this by puttying in or SSHing in, so you could do this from your Windows desktop and connect remotely as I showed you in lesson number 4, but I'm going to operate from the from the Jetson Nano desktop just because I can. All right. Now on these introductory Python lessons, we're going to be writing Python using a text editor because that's kind of like old school. We're going to be using Nano, which is a text editor. And I just think it's neat to be able to write code from just a sort of simple window where we're doing text editing. And so we're going to kind of learn the first few lessons just using the simple Nano text editor. And then as we start getting into the more sophisticated programs, I will show you how to install a more snazzy IDE, an integrated development environment. All the code is the same. It just has tools that making coding a little bit easier. But I think everyone should be able to do it old school to begin with. So I need you to call up your terminal window and let's go to our home directory. How do we do that? CD what? Easy way to home is squiggly. I am now in my home directory. Let's see what's in there. I do believe I better get out of your way. And guys, this is towards the end of the day, and I've been teaching all day, which means I talk all day. And what that means is by the end of the day, after talking all day, my voice is a little scratchy. So forgive me if I clear my throat. I'm not dying. I'm not sick. It's just I talk all day. My voice gets a little tired. And I will be hitting the coffee mug a little bit more than normal. Okay, so we are now in our home directory, and let's see. I'm going to do a pwd just to see. Yep, I'm in /home, and I'm in /pjm. PJM is my username. If you do a pwm, you should see /home/your username. Okay, so in teaching you Python, I don't expect you to perfectly remember every single thing I'm going to show you, so I'm going to suggest that we write a series of simple little programs and we give them good names and we put them in a good directory. And then as you are coding later, if you think, man, how did he do that formatted print, you can go back to that program and you can look at the code and it can kind of remind you the syntax of these things. So I am going to make a directory. How do we make a directory? mkdir, and then I'm going to say my Python. Okay, let's do an ls. Boom, there's the folder my Python. Now you know that based on what I taught you in, what was it, lesson number 2 or 3, I showed you how you could be in one folder and work in another folder, understanding the paths. But just to make things simple, let's cd down into that so we don't have to worry about paths. We're going to cd into my Python. Okay, ls, it's empty as we would expect. And now what we're going to do is we are going to write our first Python program. So how do we open the text editor? Nano. And now we got to give it a file. We got to give it a file name. So I'm going to call it Python print. Never put a space in a file name. Never put a space in a file name, even though Microsoft encourages sloppy habits like that. Never put a space in a file name. I like to use the bumpy fonts. You can see Python print, the second P is uppercase, and that makes it easy to read. And then this is a Python program, so good habit is to end your Python programs in .py. Okay, now we've opened up our text editor, so let's see what we can do. Let's just write some things here. I'm going to say x equals 7. Right off the bat, you see something that's different in Python than in Arduino. In Python, you don't have to declare your variables. You want to use x? Man, go for it. You don't have to declare it. A lot of people like that. I don't like it so much because it allows you to kind of get yourself in trouble, because you can you can mistype a variable and find yourself using a variable that hasn't been declared, and so you can I've run into problems with that before. So I really like programming languages where you declare your variables, but you don't have to in Python. So let's say x is equal to 7. Let's say y is equal to 3. Let's say z is equal to x divided by y. Now if you look at this, because I say x equals 7, it's gonna define x as an integer. Because I said y is equal to 3, it's going to define y as an integer. Because I say z is equal to x divided by y, that is a float, so it's going to make z a float. So it's kind of crazy how it's a little loosey-goosey and allows you to sort of mix your variable types here. That's some people like it, some people don't like it so much. Okay, let's say my greeting is equal to hello. My greeting is equal to hello world. Now, my greeting is going to be a string, and it's going to have the value in it of hello world. Now, how did I create the string hello world? You create a string by putting it in quotes. So my greeting is a variable. The contents of that variable, my greeting, are going to be a string. And what is the string going to be? It is going to be hello world. Does that make sense? Okay, let's do our first print command, and I am just going to say print, and you use parentheses. What you want to put, you put in parentheses, okay? I am going to print just in quotes, so I'm printing a string. I'm not printing a variable, I'm printing a string. So I'm going to print hi guys. All right, hi guys. And then I'm going to enter. and then I'm going to write out and run this. So how do we write out or how do we save? Control O and then enter and then Control X. All right, how do we run the program? Well, I guess I should say that let's just do something real quick. Let's just type Python to go to the Python interpreter. If I just type Python on the Jetson Nano as it's configured with the image that I had you download in lesson 1, you can see that Python, the version is 2.7.15. The default version of Python is 2.7.15 on the image that you downloaded. And that means if you just type Python, it's going to run Python 2.7. To get out of the interpreter, you hit Control D. Okay. Python 2.7 is being deprecated, and so what we really want to do is we want to learn Python 3. So let's just bite the bullet and learn Python 3. So how do we run Python 3? Well, you type, I think it's 3.6, but you just type Python 3, and then boom, you see it's going to run 3.6.8. Now that's the default version of Python 3 that is installed on the Jetson Nano image. Don't go upgrade to one of the newer ones, because to get this whole enchilada to work, we've got to be using the right version of Python with the right version of OpenCV, with the right version of NumPy, and all of this. So you really need to be going along with me. And if you go off to a different tutorial and they have you upgrade some of these things, you could come back to my tutorial and find that you're not operating those 128 cores on the Jetson Nano. You might have disabled that parallel processing. So to keep the parallel processing and the real artificial intelligence horsepower there, you need to be very careful to be using the version of programs that I'm showing you to use. Now, I know that some of you are impatient because my lessons are coming out one a week and you want to move ahead. What I suggest is format a different card, and as you're out playing cowboy and going rogue and coming off the reservation and all that stuff, use your other SD card, and then when you come back here, use the clean SD card for this series of lessons. I think you would be happy if you did that. I think you would see that that would be the smart thing to do. Okay, how do we get out of this Python interpreter? Control D. All right, let's go back and look at our program again, because I've been pontificating here a little bit. So let's look at Nano Python print.py. How am I getting these commands back? By hitting the up arrow. By hitting the up key on the keyboard, I get these old commands. So we're just going to print hello guys. So I'm going to say Control O, enter, Control X. How do I run it? Python 3, and then the program was Python print.py. All right, that's how you run a program. Boom, it says hi guys. It printed the string hi guys. All right, let's go back up, and I get back to Nano Python print. This time, instead of printing hi guys, let's print in quotes my greeting. Now, if I print my greeting in quotes, what's it going to print? I want you to think in your mind. What's it going to print? All right, Control O, enter, Control X. Up, Python 3, it prints the string my greeting. Let's think about that. Let's go back to Nano. Okay, I told it to print the string my greeting. So what did it print? The string my greeting. If I wanted to print the variable my greeting, what would I print? I would print my greeting without quotes. All right, Control O, enter, Control X, up, and run. Okay, and now it printed the variable my greeting, which contains the string hello world. I hope I am not boring you. This is important stuff to know. All right, so now if I say print in quotes X, what's it going to print? Control O, enter, Control X. It is going to print the string X, the character X, the string X, right? What if I wanted to print the variable X? Ooh, up. I would not put quotes. I would just say print X. Okay, Control O, enter, Control X, up, up, Python 3. It printed 7, which is the number, the integer number that is contained in the variable x. Okay, so we've done a little math here. What I've said, x is equal to 7, y is equal to 3, z is x over y. And so let's print z. And what I predicted is that x is an int, y is an int. If you did this type of nonsense in Arduino, it would give you an int result. But I think this will give us a float because it recognizes to make z a floating point number. So let's see what happens. Control O, write out. Control X, up, up. Boom, 2.333335. Floating number. Let's edit it again. All right, I ran it again. Up, up, nano. Okay, so what if I wanted to print, you know, let's get a little formatting here. You can print a string of things, or I shouldn't say string because that means something very specific. I can print a sequence of things by putting something, comma, something, comma, something. So I think that it might be interesting to print the string in quotes x space plus y space equals space, and then in quotes, that's the first. It's going to print a string, and then comma, because we want to separate the parts of the sequence with a comma, and then z. Okay, Control O to write out, Control X to leave, up, up, Python 3, Python print. Boom! Do you see that? X plus y is equal to 2.33. Now this is something I really this is something that I really like in Python, how you can make a nice complicated formatted line with one print statement. Right, in Arduino you would have to say print, print, you'd have to say print something, print the comma, print something, print the comma, and then print ln. Okay, I like to string it all together in one print statement. Okay, what if instead of x plus y, what if I wanted to know the values? So let's think about that. What I could do is I could come here and I could say print the number x and then print the string space plus space and then comma y and then comma, what do I need there? Space equals space and then comma. Guys, if you have errors in print statements, it's usually because you either don't balance your quotes or you forget a comma. But I think I've done good here. So let's do Control O, enter Control X, and then let's say Python 3. Boom. Oh, I'm sorry. I boomed too soon. I didn't add, I divided. And in fact, I divided earlier. I hope you guys were screaming at me. That was my bad. Okay, so what this actually was, we had divided. Okay, we had divided. So let's do like that. All right. Control O, enter Control X. Okay, 7 divided by 3 is 2.3335. All right, you getting a little feel for printing? I hope so. Okay, now if you look at that, what's the thing that you don't like about it? You don't like how it's giving you 27 bazillion decimal points. So how would we format this? Man, I could spend 6 months about formatting in Python, but to me the big one is just stop all the digits, stop all the precision, and like give me 2 digits. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to come back over here and we're going to nano it. Okay, now we still print the variable x, we still print the string space divide space, we still print y, we still print the string space equal space, and now z is where the problem was, right? Because it's giving me way too much precision in z. And so this is what I do. I put a quote and then I put an open curly. And now what I want to tell it is that I want colon, that I want to format it as a .2. And what that .2 says is give me 2 characters of precision, or 2 digits of precision to the right of the decimal. So it's kind of like a bunch of nonsense. Have I lost my mouse? No. It's a bunch of nonsense, but what matters is the .2 means 2 digits of precision to the right of the decimal. Okay. And now we are going to need to close our quotes. Close our curly bracket, close our quotes, okay, and then dot format. And what we're going to format is Z, okay. So Z. Man, could they have made it any more complicated? Like, I could think of a million better ways to write this. But I am not one to question why they did it. I'm just one to do it this way. So basically, this is why I tell you to save this program. So if you ever need to format it, you can come back. What you're saying is open quote, open curly, colon, .2. I want 2 digits of precision, and then I want you to apply that format to Z. Control O to write out, Control X, up, and then away we go. Boom. Man, that is not good. 7 divided by 3 is 2.3. What do I not understand about this? I have made some sort of grievous error. Okay, let's see. Okay. Believe it or not, there's a 2F. Okay, so I say open quote, open curly, colon, .2F, close curly, close quote, .format Z. And so just understand that's what you do. Control O, enter, Control X. I'm not going to try to give you an explanation about what that means. Okay, let's go. Boom! 2 digits of precision. Let's just show you that this really works, so we'll come back. And you can imagine if you want 4 digits of precision, it would be 4F. Control O, enter, Control X. Boom. All right. So now you know how to print things. That's enough to get in the game, right? You can print a formatted line, and you can control the precision of the numbers you print. I think that's a pretty good start. Okay, save this program so that you can use it in the future, right? And so I'm going to start with a new program. So I'm going to say Nano. And so kind of like one of the fundamental things that you want to do is you want to be able to print. One of the other fundamental things that you want to be able to do is to get user input. So we're going to say user input. Okay, user input dot py, because we're going to be good programmers. And now what I'm going to do is, how do you get things from the what is this nonsense? Okay, how do you get input from the user, from the keyboard? Like, you know, in Arduino, we do 3 things. We ask, we wait, we read. Well, Python is a little easier. Really, you kind of just need to do one thing. And so let's say X is equal to, and what you say is input, okay? And then what you say is quotes, please, it's your prompt now, please. Oh man. Okay, please enter first number. Okay, I think it's good practice to always put a space so that when you answer it, it's not jammed up against your last letter. So I'm going to put a space. Okay. So X is equal to input. Please enter your first number. Let's say Y is equal to input. You guessed it. Please enter second number. Okay. Colon space. This is our prompt that we're going to give the user. End it. Okay. Then let's say Z is equal to X plus Y. All right. And then let's say print. And then I'm going to use some nice formatting here. So I will say X equals, close the quote, comma, X. So let's just see if we can get input from the user. Control O, enter, Control X to get out. Now this time we are going to Python 3, and it is going to be user input.py. Okay, please enter your first number 3. Please enter your second number 2. And boom, it says x equal 3. So we're getting input from the user and we're printing it out. Okay, so let's nano this again. Okay, so now let's say print x. Let's say now z is x plus y, so let's say x plus y equal. I'm going to kind of do the shortcut here. Instead of printing each individual number, I'll just print the string, and then this time that would be z, right? Because z is x plus y. So we're going to Control O, enter, Control X, and we're going to run this puppy. Python 3, x plus, ooh, Python 3, user interrupt pi. Okay. No, okay, I'm sorry. This is working. So first number is 3. Okay, second number is 2. 3 and 2. And it says 3 plus 2 is 32. Houston, we have a problem. Something has gone wrong. So let's look at this. Okay. Let's edit it. Okay, this is what you just learned. What you have to see is if you use the input command, it reads what you type as a string. So if I say x is equal to user, if I say x is equal to input and I put in a 3, it doesn't take in the number 3. It takes in the string, the character 3, and it makes x a string. And then the same thing with y as a string. And in string land, the plus is concatenate. So it adds one string to the end of the other string. So it puts the two strings together as opposed to adding the numbers. So what we have to do is if we are inputting a string, we just say input. If we want to input a number, we have to float it, F-L-O-A-T, and then open the parentheses, and then we've got to close them out here. So you kind of start at the inside, and what it's doing is it's giving the prompt, and then it's inputting from the keyboard a string, and then it's converting that string to a float, and it's putting that float into x, and it's making x a float because on the outside of the float what's coming in is a float. Now we need to do the same thing here. And so you would be surprised how much grief this causes when people forget to do this. Okay, so we're going to float this, and then we are going to come over, and now z is x plus y. So let's see, Control O, enter, Control X. Let's try it again, ladies and gentlemen. Really, it's more gentlemen. I was looking at our demographics for this channel. We're like 97% male and 3% female. And we don't even know if the 3% female are really female. It might just be some guy over at his girlfriend's house or whatever using her computer. We have a demographic problem on this channel, I will tell you. Okay, enter the first number 3. Enter the second number 2. Boom! X plus y is equal to 5. And notice it said 5.0. Why? Because we floated it. So it made x 3.0, it made y 2.0, and then the sum is 5. So I think that is pretty cool. Do you feel like you're learning a lot here? Man, we've learned to print, we've learned to format print, learned a little bit about how variables worked, and now we have user input. Where do we want to go now? I think okay, let's save this program because you're going to need to remember how to do the input, how to float, what the syntax is. So let's save this. Let's look at what we have. We have Python print. We have user input. I think those are pretty good names, right? So I think what we want to do now is if statements. Okay, so let's do a Python if.py. I guess I should nano it. Nano, and then Python if.py. All right, so let me think here. What I'm going to do is let's just get a number from the user. So number is equal to, how do I get it from the user? I want to float it because it's a number, and then I want to input, and then I want to say please input your number. Okay, space, and then close the first parenthesis, or close the inside parenthesis, close the outside parenthesis. Now, this is how you do an if statement in Python. If, little I, F, space. Now, in parentheses, you want to put your conditional. The easy conditionals are less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Okay, and not is exclamation. So if you want to say not equal, it's exclamation equal. But I don't use that one very much. So let's just say if number is greater than 0, so that's our condition, our condition. Now you start the clause with a colon. So if number is greater than 0, then you execute this clause that comes after the colon. Now you remember in Arduino you would have an open curly and a closed curly, and everything between open curly and closed curly were part of that if clause. Python doesn't do it that way. Python does it, hit enter. Let's see, hit enter. Python does it with indentation, so you have to tab over. And everything that is underneath that tab that's tabbed over, and it's got to be tabbed over exactly the same, not a character less, not a character more. You have to keep perfect vertical alignment, and everything in that perfect vertical alignment is going to be part of the if statement. So what I can do, I'm going to backspace one tab just to make sure I am over one tab. I'm going to say if number is greater than 0, then I'm going to say print, and then I'm going to say your number was positive. Okay. And then I'm going to tab over and say print thank you for playing. I'm just doing this so that you can see everything that is indented, everything that is tabbed over will be part of the if statement. Okay, now I'm not indenting, so now I have left the if statement. So I'm going to say if, and then number is less than 0, then I'm going to colon to start my if clause, tab, print your number was negative. I guess I should say is, your number is. Like it was sounds like it used to be negative. All right. Okay. Wow. And I better end the quote and in the parentheses. Okay, and up here we'll make it, we'll be good here and make this an is as well. Okay, your number is positive. Thank you for playing. And then, you know, guys, I can drag over this, and I can right mouse click and copy, and then I can come down here using the arrow down, and then tab, and then right mouse click will paste in Nano. Okay, right mouse click, paste. So thank you for playing. Now I can say if number equal two equal signs. You will not believe how much grief and pain I've seen in programming, because it looks so right if you use one equal, and it is so wrong. This is a mistake that drives people into like business school or, you know, some other part of engineering, making a mistake like this, because it's very, very hard to find, and people just get frustrated and give up. So if it's equal to 0, then we're just going to say tab over, print your number is 0. Okay, I'm not going to argue with people about whether 0 is positive or negative. You know, people will argue those things, whether 0 is even or odd or positive or negative. I don't get into such arguments. And then we should be able to still have that on our clipboard. So right mouse click, paste. Okay. I actually think this will run. You notice how we haven't even been holding our breath like we used to in in Arduino. Okay, Control O, enter Control X, and now we are going to run that. And I'll just back up here and say Python 3, because I think this is the first time for the Python if. Okay, please enter your first number, 3. Your number is positive. Boom! Boom! Your number is positive. Let's play again. Up, up. That went up to Python 3, Python if. How about -3? Boom! Your number is negative. Let's go up, up. Okay, or let's go up, Python 3. Let's put in 0. Boom! Your number is 0. Okay, so guys, really, I mean, if you can do something is greater than something, something is less than something, you could also imagine that you could go, the other thing, just so you see, you could say that it is greater than or equal. You could say less than or equal, or you could say equal, equal, or you could say not equal. Okay, so those are the big ones, right? Greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and not equal to. Those are the big ones. All right, so now let's take out these and make it back the way it was. Okay, so now the only other thing is you need to know how to do and you need to know how to do or, because you might want a compound conditional. So let's say your number is greater than 0 and your number this is a dangerous one to do, but number mod 2, so that's remainder. If you mod it by 2, that's your number divided by 2, and what's the remainder? If number mod 2 is equal 0. The reason this is dangerous is because number is a float, and sometimes floats have round off errors. So we'll try it. If it doesn't work, we'll go back and make it an integer. Okay. So if number is greater than 0 and number mod 2 equal 0, well, if number mod 2 equal 0, that means when you divide it by 2, the remainder is 0. What would that mean? That would mean your number is even. So then we're going to say print and your number is oh my goodness, what did I do? You know what happens? Right where I expect the shift key to be, there's a print screen thing. This is kind of a doofus keyboard, and it really makes me very angry when that happens. Okay, so your number is positive and your number is even. Okay, and then we'll close the quotes, we'll close the parentheses. Okay, then here what we need to do probably is take all of this. So yeah, you can use the mouse for this, and I'm going to come like this, and I'm going to say copy, and then I'm going to come here and I'm going to paste. I'm going to come here, right? I got to go up with the arrow key. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to right mouse click and I am going to paste. Okay, so if number is greater than 0 and number mod 2 is 0, then it's even. If it is not 0, so all this nonsense, I will come here and change this to not 0. If number is greater than 0 and number divided by 2 is not 0, then your number, if there's a remainder, your number is odd. Okay. Now we come down and say if number is less than 0 and number mod 2 equal 0, then we're going to also have it even. So I'm going to speed things up by coming up here and copying this and then coming here, staying tabbed over, okay, and then right mouse click and paste. So your number is negative and even. And we would also need to take all of this and do the other case, which would be we will take all of this. I'm wondering, yeah, I'll just take all that. Copy, and then we're going to come down and then right mouse click and paste. And in this case, if the number is less than 0 and the number mod 2, the number mod 2 is not equal to 0, then again this is odd. And then if the number is 0, your number is 0. Okay. Then I will put tab print. My opinion is 0 is even. I think people will probably argue with that. Some people will find an argument with that, but I need to close my quote. All right. Man, let's try to run this. This is kind of scary. Control O, enter, Control X, Nano Python. Ooh, not Nano, Control X. Okay, we want a Python 3, Python if. Please enter your number 2. Okay, your number is positive and your number is even. Let's try 3. Okay. Oh, got to run it again. I'm sorry. Okay, let's try 3. Your number is positive and your number is odd. Thank you for playing. Okay, that's pretty good. So let's go Python 3. Let's put 0. Okay, my opinion is 0 is even. Okay, that's good. Let's go up and say Python 3, Python if. Let's say -1. Your number is negative. Your number is odd. Okay, let's go Python 3, Python if. Let's say -242.32, like that. Let's see what happens. Your number is negative, your number is even. Hey, that is pretty cool. Let's try one more. Okay, let's try one more. Let's do a big -242.33. Negative and odd. Okay, guys, man, we've really learned a lot here, right? We've kind of gone through the conditionals, right? We've done greater than, less than, we've done not, and we've done ands and ors. Okay, now I guess I haven't done an or, but it's just to do an or, you use the word or. Remember in Arduino, an and was the and symbol. What is that? Like shift 7. It was shift 7, shift 7. It was the and was and. And the bar, which is like a shift slash above most enter keys, the shift slash was the bar was the or. Okay, I kind of like and or better. So there are things that I like about Python. Okay, I hope you guys aren't getting tired, but I don't want to do 20 lessons on this, so I'm going to keep going if you're okay. If you're getting tired, pause and then come back and finish the lessons. But there's a couple more things. I want to get through the for loops and the while loops and the arrays. Okay, let's move on. So we are going to come here and we are going to Control X out of this, and now we are going to do a for loop. All right, we are going to do a for loop. So I'm going to say nano, and I'm going to say Python for.py. No, never put a space in a file name. Okay, so we are going to use our bumpy font for Python 4. Okay, so this is the way you do a for loop. I'm just going to say for, and then I is my index. Notice I don't have to declare I. When it sees I, when Python sees I, it'll just use it for I in. And then there is a command that you're not familiar with probably, and it is called range, for I in range. And now what we do is we say go from 1, that's the starting number, to 11, and then go in steps of 1. So for I in range 1 to 11, and then in steps of 1. All right. What starts the for loop? A semicolon. And also you tab. Okay. The for loop, you're in the for loop. All the commands that are tabbed will be in the for loop. So I'm going to say print I. Okay. And then just to show you, I'm going to say print that's all, folks. Like that, like that. Okay. So you start with 1, you end with 11, and then you go in increments of 1. So now let's Control O, enter, Control X, and now let's Python. Oh man, I better do a Python 3 here. What's going on? Python. Oh, I hate that key. Okay, Python 3, and then Python for.py. Okay, and look at that. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Little bit not what we expected, right? So let's go back and nano it. And this is the peculiar thing. And actually, when we get to arrays, you'll see there's a reason for it. But if you say go from 1 to 11, it loops as long as your index is less than 11. So it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 10 is the last one through. So it stops 1 before 11. Okay, that'll make sense later, but it's a little bit annoying to me. Okay, it is a little bit annoying to me. But we wrote our first for loop. And you see that the print, that's all, folks, that was inside the for loop. Why? Because it was indented. So I'm going to take the indent out, Control O, enter, Control X, and let's run it now. Okay, now it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then that's all, folks. Okay, so it stops 1 before your end number. Keep that in mind because that causes a lot of confusion. That causes a lot of confusion. So let's come up here and let's say, well, what if I wanted to do let's go from 1 to 11 in 0.1 steps, in steps of 0.1. Let's go Control O, enter, Control X, up, and let's run it. Oh, it crashed. It said float object cannot be interpreted as an integer. So what is that saying that range command is expecting? That range command is expecting an integer. So you can't do a for loop in Python using range and use integers. And man, sometimes I like integers. I want to go, like if I'm calculating a curve, I want to go like from 0 to 2 pi in steps of 0.01. And this does not like it. Let me show you a way that you can fix that. Okay, so we're going to nano it. And now we're going to import our first library. Okay, we are going to import a library. See, we're learning things as we go here. So we're going to say import. The library is a math library called NumPy, and you can sort of say like numbers in Python. If you really want to work with numbers, you use NumPy. And we'll still do the for I in range. But now what we are going to do is we are going, and also it's okay to put blank lines. It makes it a little easier to read. So we're going to go for I in NP. Oh, I should have done this. Okay. Import NumPy. Every time you use it, you would have to type in numpy.this and numpy.that. So I would say import NumPy as NP. Now if I want to use NumPy, I just type in NP. So now for I in NP, that's the library. What's the function in np.arange? Okay. And I want to go from let's say minus 0.5 to 0.5 in steps of 0.1. Okay. And now I will close that and I will go like this, and then I will say tab print I, and then outside I will say print. That's all, folks, in the quote in the parentheses. Control X. I accidentally said Control X, so I'll say a yes, save. Okay, and enter. Now let's run that. Whoa! Oh, I still had the error from earlier. Okay. So I need to change this back to 1 because we know that doesn't work. Control O, enter, Control X. Up, up, and run. Oh, foul. Ooh, okay, I don't have, oh man, I don't have NumPy on this thing. I do not have NumPy on this thing. Okay, I'll come back later and I'll tell you about NumPy. Let's just do the for loop now because probably, let me just see. You see, I thought it came with it, but it might not. Okay, I cheated a little bit and I went back and I ran Python 2.7. And you can see that Python 2.7 has associated with it NumPy. And so later on I will come in and I will install it. But let's cheat a little bit and just use Python 2.7 just so you can see how to use NumPy. On Python 3, NumPy will be the same. We just have to install it under Python 3. We'll worry about that later, but let's just run Python for now. So look at that. It went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, then it went minus 0.5. You notice the big number of minus 1.1 e to the minus 16. That's because it's a floating point, and the floating point, that's like not quite exactly 0 because of the round off errors in the math, but you can see 10 to the minus 16 is practically 0. I went from minus 0.5 to 0.4. So what you can see is happening is that we're getting that same nonsense. So what do we like about np dot arrange? What do we like about np dot arrange more than we like about just plain old range? Is we can do floating point numbers. We can go from 0.1 to 0.5. But if you look at it, it's doing that same nonsense and it's stopping one before the one we want. And so if we wanted to go from minus 0.5 to 0.5, we would come and say, okay, go from minus 0.5 to 0.6, and then the last one it would do would be 0.5. So Control O, enter, Control X, up, up, and boom. So we go from minus 0.5 to 0.5, we go from 1 to 10. So you see that we can do a for loop with integers and we can do a for loop with floats. Okay, that is pretty cool. But I will be honest with you and say that I don't like this trying to figure out if I want to stop at 10, I want to stop at 10. I don't like this nonsense of having to go one more and then stop the one before it, because that causes me confusion. So I'll show you another one, and this is my go-to for loop. This is a little bit of a pro tip here. Not really, but it's something I really like. And for the way I'm doing math, like, you know, this is the way I think. I want to go from 0 to 2 pi and I want 100 steps. I don't want to think about, like, I think I'll get a nice smooth sine wave if I put 100 steps between 0 and 2 pi. I want the first one to be 0. I want the last one to be 2 pi, not one before 2 pi. I want to go from 0 to 2 pi and I want 100 steps. So let me show you how to do that. So let's run it. Let's edit it. And let's do another for loop. And what this is going to be is for I in, who's your friend? NumPy imported as NP, for I in NP dot, and this is a strange thing, but len space, kind of like linear space. I want to start at 1, and I want to go to 10, and I want 25 steps. Okay, so the first number is where you start, the second number is where you end, and then how many steps do you want? And so I will then, I got my semicolon or my colon, and then tab, and then I'll say print I. All right, and then what we are going to do is print. That's print. That's all folks, end quote in. Okay, now let's go Control X. I forgot the Control O, but if I say Y for yes, it will save it. Okay, Now remember, we're going to do Python because it's got the NumPy with it, and we will add NumPy to Python 3 later, but we will run it with Python. Okay, and so let's look at this. Oops, let's look at this. So we did 1 to 10, that's expected. Minus 0.5 to 0.5, we made that work because we went to 0.6. But then just flat out from 1 to 10, boom, it included that as the endpoint. So that's usually how I write a for loop. The first number, the last number, and how many points I want. That is what works for me. Okay, man, that was for loops. We are cruising through this. I think this has probably turned out to be a long lesson, but I hope you understand. We got 2 more things that we want to do, and the next is a while loop. Okay, so let's look and see what we've done over here. ls, and we have done Python for, Python if, Python print, and user input. So let's do a Python while. So I'm going to say nano and Python while dot py. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is how you do a while loop. I could just say, let me do a simple one. Okay, let me do a simple one. While 1 equal 1. Right, now when does 1 equal 1? 1 always equals 1. Right. You could also say like while true, and that would loop forever. But you know how in like Arduino you have the void loop that loops forever? You don't have that in Python. So if you want to just keep looping, you can say while 1 equal 1, and then it will loop forever. All right, and so I'm going to now say count CNT is equal to float, and then input, and then what do you want to count to? All right, like that. How do you start? No, this is just an input. I'm sorry. And then I got to close that other parentheses, and then I'm going to say j is equal to 1, and then I'm going to put another while loop. I've got to indent over because I want to be inside the first loop. So this is a nested while loop. So I'm going to indent over so I'm inside the first while loop, and I'm going to put another while loop. While j is less than or equal to cnj is less than or equal to cnt. And what do I do to start the clause? I put a colon. Now watch this. You've got to tab twice because now this is the inner while loop, and the inner while loop is now indented twice, and it keeps going like that. If you were to put an if statement, then you would have to indent again. Okay, so I'm going to say print, and I am going to use the fancy little thing we learned earlier. I'm going to say colon dot to f, and then in my quote, and then I didn't do my open curly, so open curly, and then I'm going to close my curly and then close my quote. So open quote, open curly, colon dot to f, close, okay, and then dot format, and then j, okay, close my format, close my print. Okay, now I'm going to say j is equal to j plus 1. Why? Because each time through I want j to increment. And you know, in a for loop, it does the incrementing for you. If you're going to do a while loop, you have to manually do the increment. But I'll be honest with you, I like while loops because, man, I could say, you know, as long as j is less than 10, keep looping, and then I could say j is equal to j plus 0.1, and so I don't have that goofy problem with integers and having to use NumPy. But I digress, okay? And now I'm going to come over 1 and say print, and then I'm going to say that's all folks. All right, like that. Okay, boom. We're going to go Control O, X, Control X. Okay, now we are going to, we can Python 3 this one. We can Python 3 this bad boy because we didn't use NumPy. Oh, yes, what is that nonsense? Oh, did I run the wrong one? I think I ran the wrong one. That scared me when I got that error. I'd run the old program. Okay. There you go. What do you want to count to? I want to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. That's all, folks. What do you want to count to? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you know what is really annoying me? Do you see when I type something there's no space? See, we want to use better formatting than that. So we can Control C to break out of the program. Up, up. Also, did you notice that outside while loop? It was looping forever. And so that was what we were trying to do. Okay, so you notice that that first while loop, while 1 = 1, you see that kept running the program over and over. We'll talk later in a later lesson about how to gracefully exit the Python loop without having to, you kind of crash it, I think, with the Control C. Okay, so what were we doing here? Okay, so J is J plus 1, print, that's all, folks. This looks pretty darn good. Oh, I remember it was the formatting I didn't like. What do you want to count to? I'm going to put a colon in a space, so now Control O, Enter, Control X, up, up, and then Python 3, Python while. I want to count to 7. Okay, I want to count to 12. Okay, I want to count to 23. Boom! You see that? Okay, man, we have done print, we've done user input, we've learned about variables, we've learned about Python 4, we have learned about while loops. We are gonna keep going. One more thing, guys, one more thing, then I'll give you a homework assignment. Okay, one more thing, I'll give you a homework assignment. Okay, so we're going to come back over here, and to get out of this thing, we're going to crash it with Control C. That's really like a very ugly way to get out of a Python program, but that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so now we are going to do Nano, and I'm going to show you about Python arrays. So Python and then arrays.py. Okay, so this is how you make an array in Python, and this is a little bit different than Arduino. There's several things that are different. If you want to make an array, you do it this way. Like I'm going to make it grade array, and then I'm going to say it's equal to open bracket, close bracket. So I say the variable grade array, and then it's Python wants to know what it is, so I just say it's equal to open bracket, close bracket, and that would make it, that would make the array. That would create the array. All right. Now let's just try something. Now let's say, how do I put numbers into it? Well, this is the goofy part. Okay, this is the goofy part. So what I would do is I would say grade. Like in Python, I mean in Arduino you would think, oh well, I would just now say grade array open parenthesis 3 close parenthesis is equal to 7, and that would put 7 into the third slot, or actually it's the fourth slot since it starts at 0, the fourth slot of the array. But you can't do that. You've got to build it sort of one at a time in Python. So grade array dot append, and then I'm going to append, let's say 5.5. Okay, and then I'm going to say grade array dot append, and I'm going to say 3.2, and then I'm going to say grade array dot append. I'm going to say minus 2.7. And I hate it when I live dangerously, but I'm going to do this, even though I'm going to regret it. I'm going to just see if I can print grade array, and I am not sure if I have to put some opens and close on it or something. Let's just live dangerously. Control X, enter. Yes, I want to save it. Okay, so now I'm going to Python 3 this. I'll probably get an error. No, okay, it worked. So what did it do? It printed the whole array. The first one was 5.5, the second was 3.2, and the third one was 3.7. So now let's edit it. And what I want you to see is I want you to see that I could also print now the index. So I could now print, let's say, the first one. Okay, but if I say print grade array 1, what do you think it's going to print? Think about it. Okay, so now Control O, Enter, Control X. Okay, so let's go up, up. What's it going to print? 3.2. Little bit of a surprise, right? You might have said, well, the first one is 5.5. No, that's the 0th one. The index starts at 0. So the that array 0 would have been 5.5. That array 1 is 3.2, and that array 2 is minus 2.7. Does that make sense? Let's go back and look at it. Okay, so grade array 1 is the 1th element, which comes after the 0th element. Okay, now what I want you to see, though, is I could come in, now that I've created it, now that I've populated the array, I could say grade array, and then notice that you use square brackets, not parentheses. Okay, the array index is in square brackets. I think that's different than Arduino. Okay, grade array 1, which was 3.2, I'm going to say now is equal to 255.5. Okay, Control O, Enter, Control X, up to run. Okay, so you see, after you populate the array, using append, then you can come in and change the things that are there. But you can't go beyond what you populated. You can only put in what you have populated. I know there's other ways to do this. I know that you can do things that will create a great big empty array, but I'm showing you one way to do it that will work. And I admit there's other ways, but I'm trying to get through this lesson, so I'm not going to show you every way to populate an array. I want to show you one way that works. I would rather you know how to do one way than sort of be familiar with 5 different ways. Okay, so now we are going to nano this. Okay, so you can sort of see how that works, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of this nonsense. Hopefully that sort of showed you how it would work. And what we're going to do is we are going to input some grades. Okay, so what I'm going to say is num grades is equal to int, not float. I want this to be an int. And then I'm going to input, and then how many grades do you have? Question mark. Yep. Went up. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Okay. Have, question mark, space, end quote, in parentheses, end the int parentheses. Okay. Now for I in range, okay, where do I want to start? I want to start at 0, and then I want to go to num grades. Now you might say, oh, you need to go to num grades plus 1. No, because if I start at 0, num grades is 1 before. Does that make sense? So since I'm starting at 0, I don't have to go to num grades plus 1. I'll go to num grades, and then 1 less than num grades is really where I want to be. Stop and pause and think about that and make sure that you understand it. If I'd started at 1, I would need to add 1 to num grades. Okay, now 1. Man, that's going to confuse you guys, but stop and think about it. We're starting at 0, so we have 1 extra one, so I don't have to add 1 to num grades. Okay, for I in range 0 to num grades, comma 1, and then I'm going to say tab over, because I'm in the for loop, grade dot, or grade array. How do I get it in there? Dot append. I got to read it first. Hold on. So now it's going to read it. So I'm going to say grade. The specific grade is equal to float input the grade. Close it. Close it. Okay. So I read it into this holder variable grade. Okay. Does that make sense? So grade, I'm going to get it from the user. And then I'm going to come down here and then grade array. To grade array, I'm going to append. What am I going to append? The grade that I just read. All right? Okay. Now I'm going to say for I in range from 0, comma, num grades, comma, 1. I'm going to tab. Ooh, I forgot my colon. Okay. And now I'm going to tab, and I am going to say print. Let's get fancy here. I'm going to say print. I'm going to say your, and then comma I. That's a comma I, comma, space, grade is space, and then comma, and then it is going to be what? Grade array, and this time we're going to use the index I. So this should, the first for loop should step through and populate the array, and the second for loop should step through and print the array. Okay, and now I will close that, and now I will come down and I will print. I will print. Thank you for playing. Okay, Control O, enter, Control X, up, Python 3, Python arrays. Okay, what? What is this nonsense? Denied. Okay, what did I do? Grade array. What did it not like? I said grade array. Grade array. Do you guys see it? Grade array dot append grade. Grade array. Man, that looks so right to me. That looks so right to me. Grade array dot append grade, and grade is float input. Grade array is defined. Man, that is a hard one to find, because I was thinking, you know what I was thinking? I was thinking that somehow I'd not done the append right, but what did we do? Did you guys see it? We didn't put that. And so that was a goofy error message, which was hard to find. So that is the problem with live programming. Control O, enter, Control X. We go up, and now, how many grades do you have? I have 3. Okay. Input the grade, 23, 96, and 45. Okay. And your 0th grade is 23, your first grade is 96, and your second grade is 45. Okay, what do you not like? You don't like that I didn't leave a space on the second input, so let's fix that. All right, when we were inputting down here, we got a little sloppy. It says input the grade, and I'll put a colon and a space, and that'll look better. And also, like, as programmers, we start counting with 0. In the real world, you start counting with 1. So if you tell somebody your 0th grade is something, that's going to goof them up. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down and say your I plus 1 grade. So we're still working in I's and starting in 0s, but when we interact with the common folk, we need to show them the courtesy of telling them their first grade is their first grade, not their 0th grade. So Control O, Control O, enter, Control X, up, Python 3. How many grades do you have? 3. I think you guys have done good. 99, 100, and 97. Okay. Boom! Your 1 grade is 99, your 2 grade is 100, your 3 grade is 97. You could even get fancy, and if it's the first one, put 1 and then an ST, and then if it's the second one, put 2, put an ND, and if it's the third one, an RD, and then I think 5th, 6th, 7th, I think you get to the point then that you can just put a TH on it, so that's a little nice formatting that you guys could do. Wow, we've done a lot. Okay, this is your homework. Number 1, Write a program that will input a list of grades. Okay, input your grades. You got to, first of all, if you're going to input grades, you got to input how many grades do you have. Then I want you to input the grades. Then I want you to print the grades. Then I want you to average the grades. And then I want you to print the high grade and the low grade. Guys, I know you can do these, a bunch of them kind of together in a smaller number of for loops, but just for clarity of your program, first for loop is going to input the grades. Second for loop is going to print the grades. Third for loop is going to average the grades. And then the fourth for loop is going to go in and figure out high grade and low grade, and then you're going to print high grade and low grade. Yes, you have homework. Okay, you have homework. And if you can do that, it'll get you pretty comfortable with Python. It'll get you pretty familiar with Python. Okay, men, and I can say men because our demographics don't include men. How do we get some girls? How do we get some women on this channel, man? What does it take to get women into programming? Is it that I'm a grumpy old man or something? You know, but I don't understand. How do we get women into programming? I think that women are a lot smarter than men. They're a lot more organized than men. They're a lot neater than men. I think they would be a lot better programmers than we guys are, but for some reason, we are not getting any women on this channel. Okay, guys, again, appreciate you guys that are helping me out over on Patreon. You guys give me a thumbs up. If you give me a thumbs up, also subscribe to the channel. Man, share those with people. Let's try to get more people involved in this most excellent artificial intelligence on the Jetson Nano. Okay, this is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com. I am going to talk to you guys later.